name's Reichard. I'm 22 and I'm from Sunderland. I'm currently boxing out at the Tenacity stable, which is based in Sunderland. Obviously got a little bit to do down Hartlepool with John Stubbs. But the main coach, obviously John Stubbs and Anthony Kelly. I'm boxing alongside Travis Waters and Ben Marksby. And yeah, I've currently won an as a pro. I used to box for Weymouth as an amateur, along with Anth. Yeah, I had 65 amateur fights. Obviously last year I managed to get one in before the year was out, but this 2023 is my first year of going for it as a pro, during my first full year. So I'm looking forward to getting started really.
Your first pro fight, obviously not everything on the night went to plan. Obviously you got the result you wanted, but the build up to it was a bit stressful. Yeah,
definitely. Well, obviously with it being short notice, I got put on as a live floater, which obviously if people don't know, live floaters, if there's an early knockout, you're on. If there's not, every fight goes to distance. You'll be on dead last, so you'll definitely get on. And just my luck, every fight went to distance. So I ended up ring walking after 11:30 at night, about 20 to 12 at night, I think it was. Bearing in mind, I was the first person with my hands wrapped in the arena from about I think it was about 4 o'clock, 3:45, I had my hands wrapped. So it was a long time just waiting to box. But I must have warmed up and cooled down about 10 different times, you know what I mean?
So you got that, you said you took that fight on short notice. Obviously professional boxing's a business. I hear you did very well on ticket sales.
Yeah, sure. I did. So I was, as I say, I think we were training for a fight in the end of December, the 18th of December I think it was. And then my manager Steve Wood rang us and he says, I can get you on Friday. He says, this was like on the Saturday, so it was only 6 days before. And I was like, well, I'll be daft not to take it, do you know what I mean? So I says, yeah, no worries. And then I ended up managing to get, I think it was 144 tickets done in about 3 days, because I stopped on the Wednesday, do you know what I mean? Stopped selling tickets Wednesday. I probably could have done more, but obviously you weigh in Thursday and stuff, so it was time for me to switch on.
So this is going to be your first full year as a professional? Yeah,
first full year as a professional. I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm hoping to try and just be as active as possible, whether that's 4 or 5 fights. Just keep active.
So you're looking for 4 rounders over the course of the next year? And then
yeah, well, the contract thing I'm sort of in with my manager, he sort of said we'll do 4 4-rounders and 4 6-rounders. So I've already a 4-rounder out the way, so even by the end of the year I want to be on to the 6s, do you know what I mean? Pushing on from there.
So I've seen recently, obviously you've been sparring with Tommy Hodgson. He's an elite level, was an elite level amateur. Obviously you call him a seasoned pro now. I would guess he's been around. He's a lot older than you. How have you been finding sparring with Tommy?
Good. We're getting some rounds in every week now. I mean, there's some just being arranged for next week as well. Every spar is bringing us on, and I'd like to think I can bring something to the table to bring him on as well. And I think you'll agree with that. Pretty good spars. You were there on Monday. It was good sparring. He's a top lad. Tommy's a nice lad inside and outside the ring, and he can also really fight as well. You wouldn't think it, but he can really fight.
So what's it like? Obviously, you said Ant was your amateur coach. You came through the amateur ranks. You're the first one from Ant's club, Weymouth, to turn pro with Tenacity. How's that been, the transition? How have you found the difference between the
I've enjoyed it, you know. Like it's one of them where you come into the sessions and you're getting the most out of your session, because there's only a little group of us, and obviously through the amateurs I served me full time with Weymouth, and I love training with the lads. I still get in the Weymouth session twice a week to see the lads and I train. I help spar with them and they help bring me on. But when I'm with the pros 3-4 times a week, it's just obviously a couple of us in. You tweak your training a little bit. It's more for the pros and more settling down, and you've got a bit more time. And so don't get us wrong, it's not completely night and day from amateurs to pros. It's still all your fundamentals that you've learned out through your amateur career. There's not actually much difference in the training. It's just obviously these are a few more things you add to your game, and I'm starting to mature a little bit now as a man. And I mean, I'm still only a young lad, but I am starting to mature into that man sort of body, and I'm trying to sit down on my shots a little bit more and get the different side. It's different types of sparring. As I say, we brought Tommy in, which I probably wouldn't have sparred as an amateur. Like, wouldn't normally spar amateur kids. But other than that, your fundamentals are all still the same. I mean, you practice your basic boxing, and that can take you around the world, can't it?
Yeah. So have you got any fights planned for this year? Anything penciled in? Anything coming up?
Yeah, well.
That you're allowed to talk about?
Well, yeah, well, there is one coming up. Apparently it was going to be announced this weekend. I heard this morning it's going to be Monday. by the time this comes out, it might be alright. So it'll be like, I think that's going to be the 18th of March.
Can you tell us who it is yet?
It's
It doesn't get out yet, so it's alright.
It's a Eddie Hearn show.
Oh.
It's at the arena. I think it's his next gen show. So he's got a couple of good lads headlining, like Cyrus Patterson, Pat McCormack's on, Mark Dickinson's on, all top lads who I've known throughout the amateurs. Do you know what I mean? Like top like lads. And I'm buzzing to be on that card. Thanks to obviously Steve Wood for getting us on that. And I think myself and Ben Marksby's on it. All being well. Obviously I've known about this for about a month now, but nothing's been released. It was just a bit like when it's going to get released, but apparently it's all done now. So yeah, 8th March, like it's from right now as I'm speaking, it's 6 weeks today. Obviously when this comes out it might be a bit shorter, but yeah, 6 weeks today. But yeah, I'm looking forward. Again, another home show in North East. I've got more time to sell me tickets and that. I'm hoping to do maybe double me tickets I've done last time. Just see how I do. Exciting, got plenty of time to plan, I've had plenty of time to prepare. I'm looking forward to it. North East always had a tough round. I mean, I remember back in the ABAs and that, you always, if you get out the North East round, you've done well because there's some tough lads, good kids, loads of good gyms from up here. But you've never really seen the breakthroughs, the pros. But
why do you think that is? Do you have any?
I don't know. I mean, I remember years ago, sometimes people would say there's not as much opportunity up here as you get down south.
I would have agreed with that.
But now these promoters are coming up here and they're putting shows on up here and they're taking interest. And then you've got fighters from up here who's moved away to train, like your Josh Kelly's. I know Pat and Luke's down with Ben Davison at the minute. They're moving it, but they're still bringing the shows back here, so it's good all around. Everyone's winning and everyone's happy. And but I do agree with what you just said there. I think it has definitely blew up the box in the last few years. Just I think off the back of them Olympic Games, a lot of top amateurs are turning pro, and yeah, I think it's always had the talent there, but now it's finally kicking on. Like, I mean, there's like that show that I'm meant to be on in a few weeks. Like the card's stacked from head to toe with national champions and like lads, as I say, I've watched from being like at a young age. Do you know what I mean? And I think finally North East getting the recognisation it deserves or whatever.
You mentioned Josh Kelly there. Obviously, Josh Kelly's another Sunderland fighter. Do you know Josh well?
Yeah, I know Josh. I've known Josh for years. I mean, I used to go and watch him spar at Houghton. I used to go and spar the younger lads when I was only young. I'm talking, I'd have been 12, 13, 14-year-old. And he was always training, sparring, and then I used to just be in awe watching him and that. And then we always kept in touch. He was always like really nice for us when I was young, and then we've always kept in touch. And I managed that when I was on his card before Christmas against Troy Williamson, which was a really good fight. I was speaking to him in the media days and that, and we always a bit cracking. I remember I was on a bit crack with him after, and he just kept saying, just keep active. The bit of advice for us was just keep active at him. As I say, he'll be back up here a few times with Wasserman, his promotional company, and he says as long as you're active and you're busy and you're ready and that, he says there'll be opportunities there for not just myself but other local talent, you know what I mean? So yeah, he's leading the way at the minute. I remember he used to say it was like, honestly, when everything's back to normal, you're going to turn over pro. You know, he used to say like, I really think you can like go somewhere in the pros, and he was always in me and I used to just think, do you know what it is? Fuck it, let's go for it. And
I suppose you've had Ben Marksby there, who was pro.
Yeah, well, I always sparred Ben even in the amateur days, and then when he turned pro, he come out, you know, I was helping him out sparring. Even he used to say, Adam, what are you waiting about for? And then, just with timing in my life, I just thought, why not? And I've got the backing of a few decent sponsors and that, and like my dad and that helps out a lot, work-wise and stuff. But yeah, it's been made really easy. Obviously, I got put in touch with Steve Wood, my manager. He come across like he's like a really top man, and he made everything become a reality for us really. And it was, as I say, it was a bit stressful at first when you're like going through your medical and stuff, your brain scans, other various medicals. But once you're through them, you just focus on your training. Hopefully, if you've got a good team around you, they'll sort your fight dates out and that. Obviously, you've still got to sell a few tickets, but as I say, I've never really had a problem with selling tickets. Touch wood, you know what I mean? Yeah. Should be alright.
So working with Tenacity, you obviously went with John Stubbs, both were England coaches. I think John still is, he's away with England at the moment. Yeah. How have you found that? Obviously they were already like a successful team. Ben Marksby was, I think, was 5-0 by the time you turned.
Is
that right? 5 or 6-0.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Obviously you're quite fortunate, well, I wouldn't say fortunate, you've worked hard, but
yeah.
like, you're in a position, you're in a gym where you've got another professional there, you've got 2 professional coaches in and out all the time. Did that make the decision to turn pro any easier for you?
Yeah, it did. Obviously when I seen what they were doing with Ben, and I seen how happy, because if you remember, I don't know if you remember, Ben had a little year out the gym where he lost interest a little bit, and it was just down to the amateurs and stuff. I think you get that age, and I was a bit similar. I nearly chucked it. When I was about 17, 18. And then when Ben come back, he fell in love with the sport again, and I do believe that's through turning pro with Anthony John, because it's enjoyable again, and like I love the sport of boxing. I would hate to not be a part of it anymore. And obviously when I was with Ben, when I seen how happy Ben was and how well he was training, I seen him sparring good lads, and he was getting the better of these spars all the time. It just made it very, as I say, very easy for me to make the decision that I wanted to turn pro, and I haven't looked back since doing it. Do you know what I mean? I think we made the decision in August. I had to go to the ABAs this time last year. We made the decision in August. I was going pro. Obviously your medical, we're going to take up to 6 months, I think, to go through. Do you know what I mean? Got through medical just in time. I remember I was at the press conference 2 days before my fight, and I got my phone call saying your brain scanning results are clear, you're out of box.
So you were at
the press conference
with no medical clearance.
Well, yeah, obviously it was like you get your brain scan,
yeah.
and unless they tell you can't box, then I think you can. But it was like, yeah, just to give you the heads up, you cleared a box for a year.
So it was like really.
Yeah, it was tight, but I think that was out 2 days before I boxed. But we knew it was going to be tight because I only got my brain scan about 10 days before the fight was due to take place. That was just like the quickest I could get in. But yeah, as I say, everything just fell into place nicely, and I'm played for a year now in medical and stuff, so just want to be as active as possible going forward. I want to try and have at least 4 or 5, the fights I'll have 6, 7, as active as possible.
So long term, let's say 5, 6 years, what's your goals for the next 5, 6 years? Obviously you want to get this year out of the way, come through this year unscathed.
The first couple of years, obviously it's all learning. I'm still young. As I say, I feel as if I'm a young 22. Like, I'm not a man yet. I'm still a young boy. I don't think I'll be coming my man years till the later 20s. Do you know what I mean? So just you're learning and enjoying it at the minute, pushing on. Just hopefully build up a nice little unbeaten record and stuff for the next couple of years. See where I'm ranked, push on with the rankings, and as I say, I've boxed all the best kids as amateurs, all of them. There's not a kid out there I haven't boxed like as an amateur, and it's the same as pro. As soon as the time comes when I'm 24, 25, 26, I'm going to be ready. I don't want to be ready. I know I'm going to be ready, and I'll be ready to take them bigger, better fights for titles. And obviously, everyone can sit here and say they're going to be a world champion this and that. I think that's why everyone turns pro. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But what I will say is, I definitely have my heart set on. I would love to be a British champion. That's your start goal in it. And then once you've got that, I don't think I'll settle till I'm a British champion, but once I've got that, then I'm going to push on and see where we end up. Because once you've got that, then you just excel, don't you? You just keep excelling and excelling. Your next fight's European, your next fight's world, and next, you know what I mean? Before you know it, you've excelled in your career, haven't you?